Getting into a conversation this hour when we are looking into solutions, as engineers often do. And joining us in the studio for this conversation is engineer Shammah Kiteme, who is the president of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, and joins us in the hot seat this morning. Good morning, engineer.
Good morning, Dun.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Karibu sana. You're in the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning, and there seems to be an issue. But before we get to the issue, Dennis is going to welcome you to today's show with a proverb. He'll tell you which African country he's gone to, and we would love to hear your interpretation, or in this case, solution.
Yes.
To the same. Yes.
So we are in Seychelles, the people of Seychelles. It's a country that has beautiful beaches. Tourism is big in that country. And today they taught us something about working together. And this is the proverb. Teamwork works. Teamwork works. How would you interpret that?
Absolutely. I think it's really English, simple English, that you need teamwork to accomplish stuff. And as a leader, I've known how important it is to have teamwork. It is necessary because when you pull together, when you work together towards a purpose, not only is it easier to get successful, but also you replicate success because then you have institutional memory in the context of an institution, and it outlives an individual because a team is always better than one person.
Well, a team is always better than an individual. Well said, well put.
Well said. So, engineers staged a protest in Nairobi. They're demanding jobs and fair pay. They called on the government to employ at least 10,000 more engineers and submitted a petition outlining their grievances. It also decried that what they've described as exploitation by foreign companies that underpay Kenyan engineers while paying their expatriate counterparts far more for the same roles. They accuse foreign firms of exploiting loopholes to sideline or underpay locals, warning that the unfair practices are undermining Kenyan professionals. And this is a problem.
Absolutely.
It is a big problem because a protest was held, and we're not even looking at what could be the internal issues with, engineers in the country, but we're now saying, hang on, you're bringing in people from outside the country, you're having them sorted out, but you have people here who are qualified but are not hired. Engineer Shammah, walk us through what is the problem.
Thank you very much, Ndu. Indeed, yesterday, engineers had a peaceful march, and we were calling it creation of 10,000 employment opportunities for engineers. Now, the 10,000 number is not just a number. We have done our homework and seen that if you go to the road sector and ensure that a resident engineer is an engineer who is supposed to be on site to check specifications and quality compliance in roads, for example. If you have one engineer oversighting one project, as opposed to the current situation where we have an engineer oversighting about 11, you are going to create employment opportunities for 1,500 other engineers. When you go to the energy sector, if you do not give Adani to come here and erect pylons and pull power cables, work that can be done by Kenyan engineers, you are just going to create 2,000 engineers, jobs for engineers in the energy sector. The building sector, we have said, look at the affordable housing and, make sure that a consortia has at least 3 jobs. Don't give 8 jobs to one consortia. You're going to create about 4,000 jobs for engineering professionals. If you go to the aviation, and we want the expansion of JKIA and creation of 2 additional major airports in this country to be able to compete regionally, you're going to create 500 jobs. And if you go to irrigation, blue economy, you're going to create good jobs, the tune of 1,000. But we also said, look, the government policy seems to favor foreign contractors and firms to give them contracts. The problem is so serious that we have seen expressions of interests advertised in local dailies exclusive to countries like Korea, China. And as engineers, we ask ourselves, this is a job that can be done by Kenyan engineers. Why lock them out pronto? From the word go, even advertising. Even more serious, why don't you go and advertise it in Seoul or in Beijing? What message are you sending for us? And you've seen this happening so that we see opportunities ring-fenced for foreigners in our own country. Now, we're saying we have local capacity. We have engineers, experience, trained with skills, knowledgeable to do this work. But somehow, the policy prefers some people from outside. Now, it has gone to the extent that even some of those foreign firms, when they come over here, they want the paperwork and the licenses from Kenyan engineers. And when they get them to enter the market, they discard them. They don't retain Kenyan engineers to carry out these assignments. And so our members are not compensated, and we have hue and cry. It is so serious that members are even going to court. From the regulator point of view, from the society point of view, we have so many complaints from our members. Now, that's not all. We also have our members, engineers employed by these foreign firms. And a qualified engineer is being paid 600 shillings per day. Work or payment that is supposed to be going to an artisan, to a mason, to a plumber, or something like that. So we're saying there is actually an abuse of engineers by these foreign firms. And we're saying this is injustice to our members. So we took a walk yesterday. We left Top Plaza, where offices are, and we walked right through Ngong Road, Valley Road, Uhuru Highway, Kenyatta Avenue, all the way to Nyayo House. And we presented our petition. But we have also petitioned His Excellency the President and told him, look, your policy is to create employment opportunities. This is our roadmap for you to create 10,000 jobs. Now, if you go to Western Kenya in the sugar industry, there is a deliberate policy to import artisans, to import technicians and technologists. And you're talking about now, I have numbers of 1,000 imported from outside to do jobs.
From which countries?
Largely Asian countries. And I would say maybe India or something like that. And these are jobs that can be done by Kenyans. We have so many plumbers, technicians, carpenters, whatnot. They are unemployed. Right here at Talanta Stadium, we have electricians, we have plumbers, we have artisans imported from China. And we're saying Kenyans don't have these jobs. Technicians.
Are they coming in? Sorry. Are they coming in because it's cheap labor and then from the Kenyan side it's expensive? Why? What's the real reason?
It is not cheap labor. Kenyans are not expensive. I have given you a situation whereby you have a Kenyan and you have an expert. Kenyan more qualified. The expert lesser qualified. They are paid 5 times.
Where is this expert from? Outside the country?
Outside the country.
Okay.
You understand? So it doesn't mean that they want that kind of people, machine operators from outside the country, because they're cheaper. No. In fact, there is what we call passport salaries, where because you came here through a salary, you are paid 5 times what an equally qualified Kenyan should be paid. So we're saying, look, there is a crisis. But this crisis is actually created.
Okay, let's get some insights and maybe some context from Engineer Shammah. And this is reference to engineers. How many engineers do you have in Kenya? Do you have a number?
In our register, we have roughly 27,000.
27,000.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at an engineering workforce in Kenya, EBK, the Engineers Board of Kenya, regarding, the engineering workforce in the country, because you're saying you want 10K engineers employed or absorbed into the job market. So we have 21,000 graduate engineers.
Absolutely.
Then you have 2,800 professional engineers.
Absolutely.
Just averagely. Then you have temporary professional engineers, 200 of them.
Absolutely.
Then consulting engineers, 547. So the total is 24,800 and something. You're saying 27,000,
yes,
correct?
Around 27,000.
That's the total number of engineers in Kenya.
Yes.
So this is a number from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or it's a yearly number?
Well, since God created Kenya, we have trained about 37,000.
Since God created Kenya.
Yeah, yeah.
We
But
have only
because of
wait. Since God created Kenya,
Yeah.
Kenya has produced how many again?
37,000.
37,000 engineers.
Yes.
Why is this number this low?
Well, look, it takes 5 years to train an engineer. You have some of the best brains to leave our high schools to go to the university. Spend 5 good years, sleepless nights, do differentiation, calculus and all manner of things to finish 5 years in the university. In my class, we enrolled 84 of us. We graduated 56.
The others dropped.
The others fell along the way. So it is not.
Why
easy
is
to
it?
train
Why
an-
is it? Because it's tough
It's
to
a
get
tough-
through engineering, or it's because of the number of years? Then you have to go through it to finally.
You really have to be one, bright, to hack. 2, you have to learn what you call grit, resilience, perseverance, passion. You must know what you want for you to survive 5 years in the university, and you must pass all those units. So it is not easy. You get in there, first year, second year, you realize, oh, am I made for this? Some fall by the wayside. But what you're saying is, it is not easy to train an engineer. More important, it is not even easier to qualify an engineer, because once you finish your 5 years, then you get what you call graduate attributes. You're expected to go what you call initial professional development, by statute 3 years. And within that time, you're supposed to work under a registered professional engineer at a class of consulting or a professional engineer, so that now you gain sufficient experience to do what we call professional exam. When you do the professional exam, then you're registered as a professional engineer. At that point, now you can take professional responsibility as an engineer. So you're talking about at least 8 years, practically 10 to 15 years for you to become a certified qualified engineer.
So these ones that you want employed are not under the consulting engineers. It's under the category of professional engineers.
Well, let me tell you the facts as we speak today.
Okay.
The unemployment rate among engineers of all categories is now over 50%. We are saying we have an unemployment rate of over 50% of engineers in this country. A country which is a construction site, from Lodwar to Lamu, from Mandera to Kisumu. And that's why I'm saying there's a problem. We want to have, foreigners do SGR from Kisumu, from Mombasa to Naivasha. We have laws that say, if you cannot engage locals, you must make sure that you retain Kenyan workforce for technology transfer, skills transfer, so that by the time the experts leave, you are effectively able to do that work. But this is what you're saying. If then out of the 27,000, 50% are unemployed, we assume the 50%, there are some.
So 50% of 27,000 unemployed,
13,000.
it's 15,000 thereabout, correct?
13,000.
So 13,000. So you're asking for the government then to employ 10,000 out of these 27,000.
Yes. Because we have said, we know this country is able to absorb these 10,000. We have given facts, we have given numbers, we have done our homework correctly. And our appeal is, let us be patriotic. Let us be in a position where we're saying we are able to build the workforce for the future. People who are going to do this kind of infrastructure. We don't want to be perennially dependent on foreign expertise to do something like putting a railway line. But this is what you're saying. The 10,000, once you take the 10,000, we have also encouraged industrialization and the private sector investment, which is going to take the rest of 3,000.
Why are Kenyan engineers not being hired? And this is the question, because it's obvious, like you said, the entire country is a construction site. Look around you, whatever is being built. Buildings are coming up, highways are coming up, all from connecting, county to county. It's not like nurses, whereby they say, okay, maybe they don't have enough resources to hire more at this time, whatever the case may be. But the construction continues. Everywhere the president has been in the last 6 months, what has he said? Tutatengeneza barabara kutoka hapa mpaka kule. It's going to happen in the construction sites, right? So why are Kenyan engineers not being hired?
I think, look, There's a problem.
Somebody's being hired, but it's not Kenyan engineers. Why?
Somebody is being hired, but not Kenyan engineers. The problem starts at the public policy level. You have a deliberate intention to deny Kenyan citizens opportunities. You craft instruments to favor foreigners. I've already told you we have seen expression of interest crafted, restricted to citizens of other countries. And let me say from the onset, we are international. I've consulted internationally. So we are not against colleagues here, qualified, doing work within the law. They are colleagues, they are members. We fraternize. We have no problem. What we have the problem with is a law. We have PPADA. We have the regulations that stipulate that you should prefer local contractors or local firms and citizen contractor, citizen firms. There are provisions of the law. There is 40% local content requirement. All those laws, they are not being applied. And what we have, the situation is, we have covenants entered into between the public entities, agencies, and foreign players to restrict work to those other nationals and not Kenyans.
Shammah, there is a conversation going around, or rather there is talk going around, that you cannot trust a Kenyan engineer to do the job. There is the aspect that is being said that graduates from Kenya are not ready for the work because what is being taught in universities is purely theoretical. That once an engineer is outside, all they do, I am paraphrasing, all they can do is put up a culvert. Correct me. But with all this information that is there and the trust deficit that does exist, one would say, we prefer those that have done this job, we have their credentials and whatnot. What would be your response to this talk?
A very good question. Good, because you cannot be further from the truth to say there is any credibility or issue in terms of competence, experience with our engineers. When I'm seated here as IEK president, I have been involved in establishing, coming together for Kenyan engineers in North America. Brilliant Kenyan engineers working for Boeing, Lockheed Martin, top Tesla, whatever, working in Canada, in nuclear power stations. Kenyan engineers are working in Germany, whatever, with Siemens, international companies, because they are qualified. Now, myself, I was involved in a project where the feasibility study was done by American engineers. Then I came to do the detailed design and tendering and whatnot, and supervision. We supervised myself with the British engineers. Commissioning, or this is the end of the project where now you are starting it to operate. We commissioned with Australian engineers and never fell short of competence, skill, and capacity to do what needs to be done as an engineer.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The Engineers Board of Kenya, a couple of years ago, complained about graduates in several key areas, primarily focusing on their lack of practical skills and hands-on ability. This is the board in Kenya complaining about graduates in Kenya from Kenyan universities. They said there's a shortage of registered professional engineers, cited as a consequence of non-compliance with the Engineers Act. Certain things had not been done. The board also criticized universities for offering unaccredited engineering programs, resulting in thousands of graduates being denied registration. The Engineers Board of Kenya has made these claims. It's not coming from outside. It's not coming from government. It's coming from the board that accredits you to operate as an engineer in Kenya. Right? Is there a different role that they play?
Let me tell you.
The role they play. They have complained that there's an issue here. Is that true?
Let me tell you what has happened. When you are not giving Kenyan engineers these opportunities to be part of the infrastructure being done in their country, you are doing exactly what the board is complaining about. You are denying them an opportunity to go through the arduous journey that I explained to you that it takes to become a certified, qualified, registered engineer. Look, all professions...
So you're saying that, I'm sorry, you're saying that they should learn on the job?
Absolutely.
When they graduate from university, give them an opportunity to work these jobs, then you can test and see if they actually qualify.
Listen, the process I explained earlier, maybe you missed it.
Yes.
I said you go through the university for 5 years.
Yes.
And this is internationally recognized process for 5 years. You graduate with a degree in engineering. When you graduate, we acknowledge that you have received what we call graduate attributes. Now, when you have graduate attributes, it is expected you go through statutory 3 years experience we call initial professional development. Now, comparatively, doctors do 1 year internship. Engineers do 3 years. Comparatively, advocates through ATP and their pupillage, they do something like 18 months before they're admitted to be advocates of the High Court. Similarly, engineers, the 3 years they go through is what we call initial professional development. So that then, when they complete, they are registrable to become professional engineers, to graduate from the graduate engineer to professional engineer. Now, the professional engineer is someone who can stand on himself as a professional and can take professional responsibility. Just like you will not hire a lawyer who is not an advocate of High Court, or a doctor who has finished medical school and has not done the internship to become a registered doctor, a licensed doctor. So it is with engineers. But we take the longest of all the professions you have seen already. You know what I'm saying? So what we're saying is that if you're not then giving these opportunities to engineers, you are denying them the opportunity then to get the initial professional development to become registered and become professional, and they are then going to become standard in their professional growth.
But Engineer Shammah, you earlier said from the 3 years, you get to the level of consulting engineer.
No, professional engineer first.
Professional engineer first.
Yes.
Temporary professional engineers is at what level?
Professional engineers.
Temporary.
Well, we're around about 200. So
About 200. Yeah. No, I'm asking, which one comes first?
now listen, the moment you register as a professional engineer,
Yes.
you now can take professional responsibility as a professional. You understand? You are now expected to continue practicing as a professional engineer. Statutory minimum 5 years more. Then again, you are tested by the regulator to confirm that you acquired sufficient experience and expertise to now become a consulting engineer.
Okay.
You know?
So that experience is on the job.
On the job.
But what Ndu was asking, from what the board is saying what then is being churned out does not meet certain thresholds
The
or
industry
standards.
By the time they are presented to the market, there are certain skills that are missing. It's not
Yes.
me saying, it's the EBK that's saying. And that there are too many examples of that it has become an issue. So they're actually saying, not even go back to your experience and training. We want you to go back to university.
So
But
is
there are
it- so-
certain things that you
yeah.
should have come with after university.
So is it what is being taught in some of these universities that does not measure up to the standards of what you're referring to as an ideal situation of how then an engineer moves from a graduate level now to a professional engineer?
Yeah.
Is it about the subjects being taught, the standard of the courses being undertaken?
Let me begin by saying this. Engineering is a regulated profession because of public safety requirements. Okay? That means we want to know what the engineer is being trained from year one. You know what I'm saying? And that is a continuous process. What that means is there is a need for the regulator to be involved right from year one to make sure that we are looking at the curriculum, we are looking at the trainers, we are looking at the facilities, labs, whatnot. Now, some of the universities that have been found wanting in that area, they are processed, they are taken through by the regulator to make sure they come to speed, they improve, they equip themselves, they have lecturers who have experience, stuff like that. So that process has been going on. And so let us not complain, have a blanket condemnation. I understand the origin of the statement from the board, and there has been a very good progress made towards making sure that all the training programs actually comply. Actually, now we're talking about 95% of thereof. And that means we have worked from the regulatory point of view to make sure that now graduates who come out, they meet certain minimum requirements. That has been continuous effort. So let us now move from there. Once then you have graduated from a course or a training program which we know produces you to be a quality engineer, then by rule, we become professionals through apprenticeship. You learn through a master to become a master, whether you're a doctor, whether you're an advocate, stuff like that. In engineering is not an exception. But you're saying, for you then to progressively grow in your career, you really need hands-on experience. That will give you practical skills, because once then you finish 3 years and you have acquired the initial professional development, you provide what you call training and experience report. And then among the projects you have done in the course of your practice, then you also do one project that you submit, and then it is checked by peers, experienced engineers, to confirm that you can do what you call make professional decisions, and you can make correct professional judgment, because engineering is critical. And so that is a process that the board is talking about.
Okay.
And we are saying, look, if then you do not give these opportunities to Kenyan engineers, you're actually denying them the opportunity to progress career-wise.
Okay.
And you are destroying this country because you are denying it resources and human resources in engineering.
Engineer Shammah, if you look at the engineering fraternity as you speak right now, I just have a simple question. When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2009.
2009. And if you look at 2009 and today, the engineering profession has really progressed. You know, today we talk about buildings coming up that are ready to withstand earthquake. That means the curriculum has to change. Are these conversations you're having with the universities to see how curriculums change and adapt to the modern day? And even as we talk about government getting to discussions with the international engineers to come do the work here, is the engineering body in the country part of these conversations, such that the laws and the regulations that you say protect the body, you are part of these conversations such that you secure the bag as negotiations start?
Well, I mean, this is a very good show, because that's a very good question. Number one, we have made progress, I agree. And we will definitely not be thankless to say we have made progress. Kenyan engineers are competent. I have been privileged to be involved in the development of standards in this country. I've been involved in the development of the building code. I sit in the National Implementation Committee on Eurocodes, which are basically standards for structural design and whatnot. So we have made progress. We are making progress. Now, when covenants are made between the state and other entities, there is always someone from Treasury. I think there's always someone from State Law Office. I know there's always someone also from an agency involved, whether it is, call it whatever, truck or whatnot, Kena, whatnot. And I would expect, of course, there is an engineer seated there. I have followed through with Treasury and asked them, why are you making covenants where engineers in Kenya are excluded? And they have told me sometimes there are engineers who are not coming as strongly as you should. So what we have said, now we need to be involved at point of these covenants being drafted. I was in Ghana the other day. And I said this because this problem is Africa. So I was in Kigali and stuff like that. Engineers are being excluded actually largely in Africa. And when I raised the situation, the Minister of Infrastructure there, an architect, told me, my friend, you guys who sit in the table, you have to draft this contract correctly. So what we have done, we have continually to engage our members. If you happen to have that opportunity, please make sure that we do not get into the instruments that are excluding engineers. And so we are engaging head of public service, we're engaging Treasury, and telling them, let us in this room where these covenants are being drafted. Now, I have, because I've sat in the engineers board and I have raised the whole issue, and what has come out is that most often engineers actually, they are being considered as panna boys. You are coming to implement something that was decided a long time ago, whether in Beijing, whether in Tokyo, whatever, you know. So we are saying, can we have engineers involved? And we have proposed to His Excellency the President, you have so many advisors. Some for law, some for human rights, some for women affairs. Why don't you have an infrastructure advisor at State House to make sure that we take care of the interests of this country? Why, segregate Kenyan engineers in covenants you're making that are binding this country? And the painful thing is this, we get into a covenant situation, we do an intervention, infrastructure intervention. That intervention will be paid by Kenyans through toll or debt repayment.
Yeah.
Kenyan engineers are spectators when infrastructure interventions are being done in their own country. We will pay for that through tolls, through debt repayment, ourselves, our children and grandchildren. For the next 30 years, 50 years and whatnot, how painful can it get? So that when we say, please consider this, you are killing this country. You are denying it human resources to continually develop or even maintain this kind of infrastructure that is being done by foreign firms. What we are saying, it doesn't work. Just change it.
Engineer, there's a friend of mine who's an engineer who's saying, I think he's following this conversation, and he's telling me that a lot of times when you have these, let me just quote it, and he's saying, where we have foreign engineers, especially Chinese and a lot that come from Europe, and often they come in government-to-government project deals, and they have salaries, housing, and other allowances built into the loan agreements. That's why many of them are part of this contracts.
Let me say from the onset, our colleagues, compatriots who are not Kenyan nationals, we are not enemies. I have said I practice in other countries, and I want to continue to practice. What we have is a situation whereby there are unfair covenants and agreements that are done to exclude Kenyan engineers deliberately.
In this government-to-government project deals.
The law. Some of them are G2T agree, but an instrument has to be drafted. It must be crafted. It must be signed below the dotted line. And let me surprise you. Some of these contracts you're talking about, when they want to look or to massage the situation, they put a foreign firm with a joint venture in a local firm. Then all the money goes to the local firm. The donkey work is done by the local firm. Now, COVID taught us one lesson. When COVID came, guys were scared. They had to run back to their own country. So all the work was eventually done by Kenyan who remain here because they have no other country to run to go and do. What does that tell you? It tells you these Kenyans could have done this work because the foreigners left, afraid of COVID, they don't want to die from here, and the work was done by Kenyans. But the donkey work is done by Kenyan. All the money goes to the foreign firms.
Okay, let's look at numbers. How much is a Kenyan engineer paid on average? I know there are many cadres, but just give me from top of your head, just one. How much do they earn as a salary compared to these foreigners in Kenya shillings in their countries?
Well, the situation is quite bad that while you check the engineer scale of fees, when you would be expect, for example, let me take a middle scale, where an engineer would be required to be paid around 700K per month. They are being compensated as low as 100 or 150K. And their foreign colleagues, they are paid something to do with 1 million and all that. So it is very unfair. And that's what we have said this time we are calling passport salaries.
Wait. Before I lose that point. So, 700K,
yeah,
that's what a Kenyan
would deserve.
That level would deserve to be paid, 700K. The foreigner comes in from where they're coming from, it's 1 million.
Yes.
Okay. So, by the time they're getting these contract deals, Kenyan is denied. The Chinese or the Europeans are given. So their salaries then are tripled, as you earlier stated. So they're paid 3 times of what this Kenyan is essentially supposed to be paid. So that's 700K, ideally times 3. That's what they're getting paid, correct?
Well, no, I said you find the Kenyan is earning actually 100 or even 150, where he should be paid
700.
Oh, 700.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Could it be that, the realities of this country and the corruption in this country, especially when it comes to procurement and getting these contracts, could it be, I just want to pick your mind up, could it be that the reason why you'll find a lot of times this preference to this foreign expertise or engineers who a lot of people in terms of perception deem to be superior, and they may not necessarily be superior, is to justify inflated budgets, because it's easier then to ask a setter who's coming from China and tell us that I'm going to pay you 2 million for this project, or rather on paper a setter is being paid 2 million, but in essence what goes into his account is 700k, okay, from the 2 million, huh? And then you, Engineer Shammah, if I come, I tell you we draft a contract, I'm paying you 2 million, ile shida itakuwa na Kiswahili mingi ya kuambia sasa hii 2 million wewe yako ni 700, hii ingine ingia kwa account. So it is easier to deal with this foreigner because they're in a foreign country, they will comply easily than dealing with you. Is that the situation?
I think we can only speculate, to be honest, Dennis, and I like your line of reasoning. What we would say, because I have no evidence of that, what we would say is that for a fact we have very unfair labor injustices meted against Kenyan engineers, and we are not hostile to our colleagues who are from other nations. Every time we are having we are dining and we're friends and all that, we are saying please comply with the law. When it says 75% of workers when your foreign firm must be Kenyans, please comply. When it says 20% of senior management, if you're a foreign firm working in Kenya, infrastructure space, let them be Kenyans. Let's comply. When it says let us see effective technology transfer, skills transfer, mentorship, so that if we do SGR from Mombasa to Naivasha using foreign expertise, from Naivasha to Western Kenya, we do not still depend on them because we have had effective technology transfer. Let me tell you what happened with that particular project. The guys who did the project finished. There was an expectation they will transfer knowledge to Kenyans, and therefore operations will be done by Kenyans. They refused. They started hiding the codes, what needs to be used to access some of the critical areas. When responsible Kenyans realized that, they raised the matter. Permits were withdrawn. They were forced to comply. So therefore, when we went to the State Department of Immigration yesterday and raised issues, we knew they have done it before. They have helped Kenyans to get on the decks with SGR, for instance, when the foreigners were refusing to give them the right to maintain and operate the system. So we are saying we have no hostility whatsoever. We are saying comply with the law, and voila,
Shammah.
10,000 opportunities are available for Kenyan engineers.
Shammah, there is a question that one would ask in terms of your responsibility in making sure that the Kenyan engineers, the qualified engineers as well, play by the rules. And why do I say that? I'll give you an example. If you get off Ngong Road, join Naivasha Road, one would say, hii barabara ilitengenezwa na the Japanese, and you can see the quality of work that was done here. You enter Naivasha Road and one just says, in Kenya, they did not even think about the drainage or the quality of the work being done. As an institution, in terms of ensuring that the trust is there, that Kenyans believe that our engineers can do this, what are you doing to remedy the situation where Kenyans themselves do not trust that our local engineers can deliver?
Wow.
There's always that argument to just add to Asetto's point that Wakenya wanapenda shortcuts.
Wow.
So where you need to professionally do something that is up to international quote-unquote standards. We take shortcut because you want to save on the money and the budget that you've been given.
Yeah. That's a very good question. I think we are actively involved in what we call continuous professional development, lifelong learning for our members, so that we equip them with the relevant skills. And one critical element of what we go through is actually professional ethics. We have a code of ethics for professional. And this is put in place to make sure that we comply to certain standards. We have, I've been involved in development of the building code, which is a standard in the building sector. We have just done road design manuals, which is a standard in the road sector. And there's work going on in water manual and sanitation manual. These standards are there so that we can spillate, for example. And you know, when you walk in the European countries, you see a road, it is a place, there's a place for cycling, there's a place for walking, and stuff like that.
Sidewalks and pavements,
part of what we have done in development of the new standard is to make sure that when the road users, if cars are only 13% and people walking are 40%, then factor in the majority users of that road.
When?
So that you don't do, at design stage.
No, I'm saying, when is that actually going to be implemented?
No, we have just finalized the road design manuals, which now factor in some of those things that we consider cycling lanes. We are considering walking lanes and all that, because we want to be a healthy nation.
Okay.
Because a mistake we make is, you design a road, you design for 13% user, which is a car, and you don't think about the 40% user, which is a person walking. You understand what I'm saying? So the new road design manuals are there to make sure we factor in a couple of elements like road safety. We have seen road accidents and all that.
And these are new, we're talking about 2025.
We're talking about 2025 when the road design manual was commissioned.
So can you see that this is where the problem is? That even the country itself is saying that we have the folks who are design experts who are not taking some things into consideration, and so that's why we're going to hire somebody from outside the country.
No, you're wrong.
I'm asking if that could be a reason as to why.
That should not be the reason.
Why?
That could not be the reason. Look, some of these things, the country, we have public participation, whatnot. And science and technology is advancing. We are not coming from zero. We were revising the road design manuals. We were not coming from zero on building code. We had building code 1968, which was talking about imperial units, foot, inches, which we also gazetted this year with the building code 2024, which is new. It incorporates new developments in science. You can imagine from 1968, new developments in green buildings, sustainability and stuff like that. It doesn't mean we are coming from zero. We are coming from where? So even the road design manuals, we are not coming from zero. We are coming from somewhere. Am I communicating? So because science is evolving and we keep on improving, so now the new manuals incorporate some of these factors. And we are talking about sustainable design, sustainability. We are talking about health living and stuff like that. So some of these improvements, they are actually just improving what was existing.
There, and it's also something for some people to take into consideration. All right. I mean, a longer conversation, obviously, that can be had. We're looking into Kenya's infrastructure boom and why Kenyan engineers might be left behind. I think some of those things have come out clearly. Engineer Shammah Kiteme is the president of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Has been our guest this hour. Thank you for being here this morning with us. Asante sana. And thank you for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room, this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.